Alright guys, so welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to detect user key presses. So you can see I'm inside the game, and you can't see this, but if I press E in 3, 2, 1, go, you can see that this message appears in the chat, and the game has successfully detected player input. And furthermore, if I go into the chat session and spam E, you can see that nothing will happen over here because I've set up a system that will detect whether the player is typing something in chat or not. So if I'm not typing in chat, this message will appear. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright, so let's begin. And to detect user input, we're going to use a local script. And that's because all user input is detected on the client. Alright, so we're going to go to Starter Player Scripts and click plus and insert a local script. Alright, so to detect user input, we're going to use user input service. So I'm going to define it first. Local user input service, UIS for short. User game : get service. And then user input service. Alright. And whenever the player starts typing on the keyboard or doing something like that, user input service dot input began will fire. Alright, so we're going to connect that to a function. And we have two parameters. First one is the input itself. The second one is the game process event. Alright. Alright, so input is very simple. It's basically what the player is typing or what key they press, something like that. And game process event is something used to detect whether the player actually wanted to do the input or not. So for example, if you have a press E to crouch system or something like that, and a player starts typing inside the chat, and types a word which includes E, then the player will crouch, even though the player might not intended their character to crouch. So if game processed event equals to true, that means we should not do whatever the key is supposed to do. So if game process event is false, then we know that the player actually wanted to input whatever key. So we can actually continue with what we want to do. So if not game processed event, then alright, and then we need to check what inputs the player inputted. So input input dot key code equals to enum dot key code dot I'm going to do E. Right? Oh, I forgot it's a whole. Alright, so that basically checks if the player has pressed the key E or not. So if the player pressed E, then we're going to print out player has pressed E. Alright, and this message will print out whenever the player presses E and is not typing in chat. Alright, so I'm just going to test that out real fast. Alright, so we are inside the game, as you can see, and you can't see it, but if I press E and 3, 2, 1, go, you can see that this message player has pressed E has appeared inside of the output. And even better, if I go over here into the typing the chat thing, and I spam E, nothing will happen over here. And that's because we detected whether the player is typing this chat or not. So if I'm not typing the chat, you can see that we have the message appearing inside the output multiple times. Alright, so yeah, that's all I have for you today. User input service, very useful, and you can use them to detect user input and use the user input to trigger a series of events. So that's very useful in almost every single game. Alright, so yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if this helped. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.